I think somebody else was presenting, right? Can you stop sharing your screen as well?
Yes, sir. I have stopped screen sharing.
Perfect. So we are starting now with GHG Protocol framework. This is a critical part. I hope you guys must have read those 100 pages. If not, today is the day. I will also send you, of course, today we will discuss that. So if you have some idea, it will help you and it will help class to move faster, right? So if you have questions anywhere, you know our program is designed in a way that you can always stop and ask those questions. Yeah. So let me start with giving you a little background, specifically with GHG protocol. So if you are aware, GHG protocol was developed by WPCSD and Second Institute, which was that second company which did this part. Anyone? Two non-governmental organizations came together. One was World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and second one was
WRI.
WRI, absolutely, which is World Resource Institute. They form a consortium in 1998, and they have got funded by very interesting body of corporates. I gave that as a homework. How many of you found out who funded this GHG protocol calculations? Who funded it? Not founded it, of course, funded it. Which three major of them whom you should mention, which shows the fact that sometime there might be some vested interest of related party who are going to get impacted by such kind of initiative, but they are the one who gives the money for your research, right? For your action, for your activity. So if you remember the three company which came together, and many company actually funded this program to set up a standard for calculating greenhouse gas emission standard, and those were coming from those dirty industry which at that point in time in 1998 were the one who will get the penalized once people will start measuring the emission. The first one and the most famous one was, GMC or GM, General Motors, right? These guys were there. Of course, behind was one oil and gas company called Exxon was there, and many more of such kind of dirty business people who were in oil and gas, automobile, which were real culprit of generating the pollution as well as greenhouse gases, were funding this organization to create this standard because they knew that if there will be no independent body developing it, eventually they will be the one who will suffer. Not today, maybe after 10 years down the line. And that's why I repeat, and I'm repeating it today again, that even though BRSR, and we will be learning BRSR in detail in phase 2 of our CCMP program, you will find out that even though there is no teeth to BRSR regulation today, but if you don't follow it, you are just creating that debt which you have to pay back with interest to the authority like SEBI or Government of India like MCA in enormous, with enormous penalty, right? The amount will be so huge if you keep doing those mistakes which you are doing today that you won't be able to even pay it. And some company in past who were not ready for such kind of transformation and transition. And one of the good example I can cite to you would be after financial crisis 2007 and 8, Dodd-Frank regulation came in finance industry. Many banks went for bankruptcy in 2024. Have you heard many people? There was famous companies, banks which has went for bankruptcy because they were not able to meet those requirements. They were not able to create Basel norms, and eventually they started paying off. So you have to understand that today, if you don't follow the spirit of law, in the spirit which has been written behind it, thinking that there is no teeth, there is no penalty, there is no recommendation for recovery from the institution which is reporting their carbon accounts or their sustainability reports, you are just ignoring a fact that government can penalize you retrospective. Another very good example for such kind of government penalizing, specifically in India, is a case of Idea and VI, Orange telephony in Mumbai, which was acquired by Vodafone Later on, of course, they merged with Idea, etc. That case nobody should forget, where Government of India, even though the court regulated, court given the verdict was different, Government of India went and changed the regulation and made sure that Vodafone keep fighting the case in the courts and keep paying not to the Government of India, but at least Indian economy through judiciary. Right? That is what exactly is happening. So don't ignore the fact that if there is a standard, if there is a regulation, and you are the party who is going to get impacted, start investing immediately. If you don't do it, message is very clear historically and maybe in very near future as well, that you will pay, you will cough off so much so that your next 10 years will be impacted by that. Your generations will be impacted by that. That is why these companies, the dirty businesses, invested, or rather, funded the GHG Protocol setting up program. Today, this program is one of the leading program and followed by more than 100 countries across world. Many countries have developed their standards based on this particular framework itself, including BRSR, where it is mandated that if you report something, you have to report with GHG Protocol. So GHG Protocol originated in 1998. First time they published their first booklet called Corporate Level GHG Accounting, right, in 2001. But when in 1998, they published a paper, the paper name or title was, and you should remember and make that note in your notebook, which is Safe, Climate and Sound Businesses. This report identified the need to standardize the greenhouse gas emissions and measurement themselves. And they recommended a pathway for the same, which was used to develop the first accounting standard book in 2001. The report was a collaborative effort between WRI and corporate partners, including Exxon, BP, General Motors. All these people who had a vested interest initially later on got benefited as well. So remember that booklet which was published, and later on they created the standard in 2001, right? So key component of today protocol or GHG protocol includes that GHG protocol provides what? It provides a standardized framework for what? Accounting, reporting, managing, and eventually reducing greenhouse gas emission. Don't forget this word reducing, which is mentioned in all the protocols, and they have published now more than 14 different guidebooks. All of them encourages that use this book not to just MRB purposes, measuring, reporting, and verification, but also for the purpose of reducing and mitigating the emission which companies are doing. So remember, it addresses the need of consistent measurement and reporting of support reduction efforts. Hence, the organization can track their progress toward climate goal, right? The key component include what? Emission calculation. That's the first part. Data verification, second part. And third part is nothing but reporting, which is communicating of emission information to a stakeholder, right? Which you identify to be managed and manage it clearly. When we will go to phase 2, there is a critical section of materiality assessment and stakeholder management. Of course, stakeholder management is a larger topic. It is covered in management programs, right? But here also it is very essential, and you have to learn how to identify the stakeholder, how to identify their requirements, and how to address them, right? How to manage it, right? Then only you can manage the real climate change in the world. Today, total of 7 GHG accounting standards specifically are available, apart from 7 subsidiary accounting standards, which GHG Protocol is publishing. So approximately 14 different booklets they are publishing. 7 of those are being used by people like you who are going to take this profession going forward. There are key booklets which we will be covering throughout our next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, till the time we complete the mitigation, right? And we will be covering the first booklet called Corporate Level GHG Accounting, which our participants who have joined CCMP program last 2 weeks, they are reading in and out, including Ramanendraji, I have seen doing it. Sandeep, I have seen doing it. Many more people who are not saying, but they are reading it, and they have completed reading that book, so they can ask the right question in this classroom when we will be starting. Of course, I am going to use this corporate level GHG accounting for reporting of scope 1 and 2 in detail and 3 in brief, because for 3, scope 3 emission gets covered in another booklet or guidebook called Corporate Value Chain Scope 3 Accounting Standard. This booklet is also provided in your bonus material. If you get time, from next week onward, we are going to touch base on scope 3. If you read it, you will bring the right question for the calculation purposes, where we are targeting at least 35 different iterations to be covered. Now, scope 2 emission is also has a different booklet, which we will be sharing with you. But most important one is product level GHG accounting, which is equivalent to project level, or 14,067 ISO standard also provides you similar kind of carbon footprinting for the product. So if you want to identify life cycle assessment along with GHG accounting, you have to refer this booklet, which is also quite essential. Why? Because it quantifies emission across life cycle of a product. It covers emissions from raw material, extractions, manufacturing, transportation, uses of that finished product or consumer use, and disposal. It covers the whole life cycle. So remember, the product level GHG accounting actually provides you the carbon footprint, also known as life cycle emission. The purpose here is very simple. It enables businesses to understand and reduce carbon emissions at product level itself. And I gave you the example of how Apple has done this. Now, here is the recommendation of the book, which I want you guys to download, right? And that booklet, I hope I am audible. Oh, sorry. Okay. Somebody is in lecture as well. Okay. Continue, Nisha. No problem. Okay. Yeah. So what I was telling you guys is, here is the recommendation. If you get time, and this is not optional, somebody should write as a homework in the group itself. Who can write this in the main WhatsApp group as a homework? Okay, what we will do, because not many people have joined today, we will take a break soon enough and give everybody a chance to join back, right? So we will do that break in next 15-20 minutes. Is it okay? Can we take a break immediately rather than after some time? Yeah, so that people who are suffering not attending the live program may join. Is it okay?
Okay,
I'm
sir.
not able to hear anyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was telling, can somebody write a homework? Quick homework number 1 is that you have to download Apple white paper for carbon footprinting. Apple's white paper for carbon